We have reached week 5, and I'm not going to lie to you, some of the sets this week were bad. That's that's just what we're going to have to deal with today. But there is still a lot of insightful moments, a lot of things you can learn from. You can learn from bad plays just as much as you can learn from good plays if the bad plays are explained appropriately, and that's what I'm here to do. So let's look at some good plays and let's also look at some bad plays this week. Let's do that. Hope you enjoy. First series of the week was Troller against Chuva. And game 1, Troller had Jolteon and Chuva had Groudon. And nothing much of note happened, and Chuva cruised in the good matchup to a victory. There's nothing much to say. Inherent risk when you bring Jolteon, and Troller lost. So Troller now has to fight back. And Troller has 4-0 so far, so this is to keep himself undefeated. So we have Storm against Jinx. We see a T-Wave go down. Immediate Tauros. Troller does not get Wakes, gets crit. So has to give up on trying to rescue the Starmie, but that's fine. Lax now slams Chansey. EQ scouts counter, which is good. But Troller seems to have no better play to pressure this Chansey other than trying to fish for crits, which is not bad, and you get some soft boil PP in the way. But eventually you get T-Waved and you just fizzle out with no progress. And, well, you can rest up, so it's not like you remain paralyzed forever, but this is why Unparalyzed Chansey is really valuable, because even without counter you can do that sort of thing, because the opponent has to respect counter until you reveal it. So yeah, Troller's Lax fairly walled. He has to go Chansey, and Chuva says, no, I don't want you to have a Chansey. And so that's that. This is kind of a risky explosion, because like this could be a Cloyster team, theoretically. But usually if you're Starmie plus Cloyster, you are seeing Chansey, and if you are seeing Chansey, you don't click Thunderwave turn 1 on Jinx, because it slip blocks you. So yeah, fair boom, I think, from Chuva. Now we see that Troller has Executor, and he Psychics for damage. He doesn't Sleep Powder, he Psychics, which is... It kind of reveals no double edge, because if you're trying to punish Jinx, you obviously double edge, and it's not really better against anything else. Like, double edge, if you have double edge, you always click double edge over Psychic on that turn. So the only reason you would click Psychic is if you don't have DE. So Troller doesn't have DE, I think it's safe to say. Now he goes for this switchback because look at Troller's team. There is no Starmie, and Chansey has been exploded, and one of his Pokemon is Executor. And so he is running out of Jinx checks. So with this switchback to Tauros, he actually is just deciding that this is his best way to handle Jinx, which is kind of wild, but also kind of honestly a reasonable play. I know it looks wrong to take so much damage on Tauros early on, to volunteer it up to Blizzard Chip. But when you look at how the game is going, Troller has no double edge on this Executor. He needs to take this Jinx down and land Sleep as soon as possible. And this is one way to do it. Like, you force Jinx to stay because Tauros is too much pressure on anything else, and you start slamming. So, he gets lucky with a dodge, but you have to keep in mind, like, this has FP chances, and this has crit roll into death chances, and it has miss chances. So it's not bad at all. Like, obviously it's a below average outcome for Chuva, but it's also definitely not the worst thing that could have happened. So now we see Aslan go into Starmie. And now we see Troller go back to Executor, and now he's ready to pressure. Psychic's Jinx gets a drop, and now this is huge. Because he has leap pressure on this switch out, but Jinx could also stay and rest. So it's a tricky turn, it's a mind game. But if Jinx rests, then Troller gets another chance to try and do some damage with Tauros. And, well, let's see what it is. It is a Starmie, and Troller just goes for Psychic, which I think is a bit of a weird play, because if Jinx stays... Oh, I guess Psychic... does it have chances to kill? I don't think Psychic has chances to kill. 32 at -1. Yeah, I don't know, it's a weird play. It's basically banking on... I don't know what it's banking on, because it doesn't really do anything against rest. And chuva only really has two plays, which are rest or switching out. So the only way Psychic is good is if it full paras. But Tauros is also good against full para. So I don't know. I mean, it's not a completely unviable play. Like, I see why you click this. It's safer than going Tauros, because if you get doubled on with Starmie, when you go Tauros, then you are in trouble. But this is not great. And now, okay, Troller goes for sleep on Starmie, but chuva goes back to Jinx. And now Troller has to take more significant damage on lags, which is really not what he wants. So, very tricky situation. He goes for rest. Tauros comes in, burns the sleep turn. Okay, no crits, all in line. And now chuva decides to go for this. I'm not sure he needed to, because I get that this is counter, and it isn't, you know, the most reliable switch-in. But what is Troller going to do to you? I guess he can go egg on this when it's healing and give you a headache. But I don't know. It seems weird to me to do away with your Tauros right now. Because if this is a Zapdos, then you lose one of your main answers to it. Or at least you make one of your main answers significantly worse. So, Troller decides, I want to keep my lax over my sleeping Starmie, which is entirely fair. Now sends his own Tauros. And we see the problems with chuva's position immediately. Now he's weak to enemy Tauros. And he decides to predict Hyper Beam and go Zapdos. And he gets punished almost as hard as possible. It could have been a para as well, but it was just a crit. And now look at Hyper Beam from Troller's Tauros into chuva's team. I mean, there's still a chance, there's still a Starmie, but you're starting to get yourself in danger. He slams again and gets a para. Now, granted, Troller is getting a bit of luck, but chuva was in such a good position, and he chose a risky line that exposed himself to Tauros and to basically everything. Like, the moment you trade damage on your Tauros for damage on your lax, you are immediately weak to all of those endgame Pokemon, like Zapdos, like Tauros, all of those strong Pokemon that are really hard to beat 1v1 unless you're a dedicated counter. And yeah, I mean, when you have a full HP Tauros, you can Tauros War this, or you can Tauros War at Zapdos. You can send your Tauros on Revenge Kill on Zapdos and just say, fuck it, I'm giving up my Tauros, but I'm stopping you. But chuva doesn't have that option anymore at all, and so now we see Hyper Beam dodge on Chansey. This would have been huge for chuva because you can counter and take out this Tauros in one. But even still, look at chuva's team now. It is so much weaker, and if this last is Rhydon, well, probably it isn't. But if this last is like anything, like Jolteon, like Rhydon, like Zapdos, even the Zam is super annoying after this Chansey gets chipped. So yeah, hard to say. This may definitely help Troller, but I think he's still probably at it. In either case, he now goes Executor, and now finally he wins another mind game on this sleep situation. He finally lands Sleep Powder on Chansey. And now look at Tauros. Troller can just send Tauros an Hyper Beam 4 times. And this is what he does. He explodes to get a clean Taurusen. And then he just clicks HP, HP, Slam, HP. Game over. So, what do we learn from this game? Don't mess around with Tauros. Obviously, Troller had some good fortune, but chuva also made some plays that exposed himself to it. I think when you have a lead, and chuva definitely had a lead, you should not be giving away your Tauros, because it is such a waste-army knife in those endgame situations. Like, having the ability to just take a Tauros war, instead of having to switch around aimlessly trying to rescue the game, is just so much better. Another thing he could have done is, even after taking that damage on Tauros, he could have just sacked Jinx on Tauros and just said, you know, okay, I will sleep sack something else, I'm not in a great spot, but at least I have tempo, because after you give up Jinx, now you have pressure with Starmie, presumably. I don't know if this Starmie had Blizzard. If it didn't, it was pretty difficult. But if not Starmie, then at least you have Zapdos, right? Like, you can always drill pack a Paralyzed Executor and you're not doing poorly, because you have crit odds, you have FP odds, you have miss odds. It's not so bad. So chuva had a lot of lines that probably were going to be a bit cleaner than this, and he gets punished. Obviously, you know, Hyper Beam miss on Chansey as well. Not a clean victory, but I think a very instructive game, because most people would walk away from this game thinking, oh, I got locked, but I don't know if he got locked, because, well, he got unlucky, but he could have done better to avoid the situation, I would say. So clean game from Troller, I would say. Not the cleanest game from chuva. But, well, that's the difference between someone who has been dominating the tier for years and someone who is still a rookie. Chuva's been playing well, but still has things to clean up. And speaking of chuva having things to clean up, game 3 we get the same matchups of game 1. Chuva gets Groudon against Jolteon again. But he manages to panic and lose an endgame that he had no business losing. And I think it's the worst game of the tournament from chuva so far. That game 3 specifically, the single worst game of the tournament from him. So maybe the pressure got to him, maybe, I don't know. But it's pretty bad when you find 2 Groudon on electric matchups and you still lose the series. I will say that. That's a series that you should be winning, but chuva slips up hard enough and Troller piles on the pressure hard enough, and we have 5-0 Troller and 3-2 chuva, which is still an entirely fair record. Like, no shame in losing to Troller. Absolutely, most people lose to Troller, but it showed that chuva is still not a top player, even though he has looked quite good. He has bad moments as well, and the top player will exploit them. So yeah, that's my take on this series. It was a good series, but it showed that one player is at the top and one player is not quite. Now, Mako against Hayburner. Mako came into this series 2-2, but she has looked very shaky. One of her losses came at the hands of Groudon, who is not an RBY player. He just isn't. He was an emergency substitute for a team with no RBY player, so it's not a great look to lose to him. And neither of her wins were super convincing. Week 1 she probably deserved it, week 2 she did not. But so, you know, bit of a deceptive 2-2. She has looked pretty shaky. Hayburner also deceptive 1-3, because one of his losses came against Troller, and one of his losses came against I think he got locked in one of the games, but I don't remember which. Oh yeah, against Aliss, I think he got locked one game and he got a brutal matchup on the other. So yeah, Hayburner has not looked as bad as 1-3, I would say, and Mako has not looked as good as 2-2. Interesting matchup. Let's see what happens. This is going to be a long game, so I'm trying to go through it a bit quickly. We have Zam against Starmie. We have Exeggutor on Zam. This is classic Mako. Mako does this every game. She treats her Exeggutor as a sleep and explosion bot most of the time. Extremely liberal with the Exeggutor HP. I don't like that approach to the game, but it is evident that some people like it because it keeps happening. Mako is by far the main culprit of this Exeggutor usage, but not the only one at all. So we have some early turns, a lot of positioning, a lot of nothing. Now, this is not what you want to see, ideally. Exeggutor on Tauros is very dangerous because Exeggutor has no recovery. So if you get crit, it's very bad. If you get para, it's very bad. This can get very ugly. So it's not great for Hayburner to be doing this already. But he in his defense, he has to get sleep. So even if he does get crit or para, he probably still has pressure. Crit, maybe you even have Hyper Beam to fear. So I don't know. I would not have clicked Exeggutor. I would have been a bit more patient. But he gets away with it, and well, he misses Sleep Powder, unfortunately. He goes Zam trying to predict explosion, which is very fair play because Mako here has little to lose by exploding, and little to gain by clicking Psychic. I would imagine she's just going for a mid ground that keeps her Exeggutor alive if she loses the prediction, and Sleep sacks it if she wins it. Like she's hoping here to catch a Sleep Powder with this low HP egg and move on. And so if she explodes into like a Zam, she's actually losing because it's 5v5, but Hayburner can sleep and Mako can't sleep anymore. So she goes to avoid the worst case scenario with explosion, and she clicks Psychic, which is a move that is never good in either scenario, but it at least avoids the worst cases, which I don't know if I would have gone for it, but it's a mid ground that makes sense. Now this Zam wakes, and at this point I would argue that you really should Thunder Wave, because nobody here switches Egg out, I feel. Like, Egg on Zam is already one of the better chances you will get to click a sleep. And I would argue once you're a burner in this position, if you can get a T-Wave and an FP or a dodge, you're in a fantastic position. Obviously T-Wave is dangerous because if Mako reads it and goes Starmie or Chansey, now she has a sleep block. But I would say the upside is so great that it's worth going for, but at the end of the day it's a read, and Hayburner decides to make the safe play. He seismic tosses, gets some chip, but now there's this 9% Exeggutor who can explode, and it will be a bit of a thorn in his side. Paralyzed 9% Exeggutor on the other hand, not a problem. So yeah, I mean, it's completely fair, but I think when the upside is so good, and when the Exeggutor really is not going to sleep block you anyway, because it was at like 35, I think it was fine to go for. But okay, we see Starmie on Starmie, we see one Starmie switching out, and Hayburner starts ice fishing because he has to find a turn for his Exeggutor still. So few ice beams come in, and now he gets this freeze, and this freeze is massive. This game turns from probably Mako favored to definitely Hayburner favored in this moment. It's very unfortunate, but at the same time, it's the tier. It's the game we play. I don't really think Mako had better plays here. Like on Chansey, you have to T-Wave it and press it with Lax. Maybe it's a problem with your sets. Surf TB Starmie any Starmie with no Psychic, kind of weak into Chansey, not the best, but either way, very unfortunately for Mako, this freeze comes and now she's in trouble. We have Egg on Egg, we have switchbacks to Chansey, to Zam. Again, Hayburner is just trying to make sure he doesn't get exploded on. And Mako reveals Mega Drain and gets Executor back actually. Well, back is sort of too much because it's still fairly weak, but it's not 9% anymore. Like it will leave attacks from enemy egg now. So this is a big deal. But Starmie of course can just recover against when it's unparalyzed. But now Hayburner reveals Surf as well, so he has Surf T-Bolt Mirror. And now this Executor actually beats this Starmie forever. And now Mako has chances again. She continues to get good reads, but now I think at this point she can even just stop trying to play for this Executor Sleep Sack, because you know that this Executor now is actually phenomenal into Starmie. And so it's totally not bad, even at this low of an HP. Because Starmie is paralyzed now, so you can definitely get great use out of this egg set. So I think Mako can even afford to sleep sack something else. But going Snorlax is just puzzling, because by going Snorlax, like, sure, he will have to Psychic eventually, but the odds are definitely on his side to get sleep. And so I don't know if I like this. He reveals Mega Drain as well, so you even give him 3 HP. Yeah, it's not the best, but she does get reads, so to her credit, she gets me cleanly. But in the process, this Executor healed up a lot, so I don't know if it's worth it. I think probably I would have just either played the tie, or even elected to keep the egg key for the enemy Starmie, and just move on with life. But yeah, as I said, after this freeze, Mako has a Chansey problem. Well, she has her own Chansey, which cannot get frozen anymore. But, oh, and Hayburner reveals Counter, so funny set with no T-Wave. But that's all the more reason to be annoyed about this freeze, because this Chansey wasn't even T-Waving this lax. She was going to suffer against the Qs. Again, we have this lax game again. Predictions. I guess like technically you can get a switch in on no sleep for no cost. But it just seems bad, because I don't know. I guess when you're switching out from chance, it makes sense, because you go from guaranteed sleep to perhaps sleep. But with Executor, it was already perhaps sleep, because it was a sleep tie. So I don't know. It's not wrong at all to play like this, but I probably wouldn't do it myself. That's my summary. Either way, we have those Surf Starmies and those Mega Drain eggs, but Mako's is fairly low HP now, and Mako's has the Seismic Toss. Chansey gets paralyzed, and I think about now is when I would go Executor, because this Executor needs to get back in and start healing up with Mega Drain, and it's totally achievable to heal up with Mega Drain, because you have so much pressure on this Starmie. You will get T-Waved, but if you get a Mega Drain off on this Starmie, you're already in much better shape, and you win this 1v1 almost every time. And if you don't win the 1v1, if Hayburner goes Executor, you can just explode. Like, I think Mako should resolve this Executor problem quickly, and just try to get it out of the way while it's still easy to get value out of it. Because in an endgame, once Hayburner restores it's the field, it's not at all clear that you will be able to explode this Executor, because it's slower than Tauros. It might be slower than, well, okay, no, this is Lux and Tauros in the back, so that's also something funny to note. Hayburner has not used this Lux at all yet. It makes sense in the context of the game, but usually Lux has come out earlier. So Okay. Finally this Executor explodes. I think there were better ways to do it, but it finally happens. And now, Tauros kills Alakazam, and you should remember this. Hayburner has no sleep lock. Has no sleep absorb, rather. Like, sleep close is not active anymore, because the left Alakazam has died. And you look at Paralyzed Starmie, and you look at Paralyzed Chansey, and you look at that Executor, and you think, so what? But believe me, it will come in. It will become relevant. And you will soon see why. And by soon I mean we have to skip a lot of turns of nothingness, because Hayburner's team is very passive, and Mako has no way to make progress. Neither side really has any way to make progress. There's a lot of nothing, and then the Tauruses come in. Mako goes for this Lemon counter Chansey, which is bold, but it makes sense, because Chansey has to respect EQ. Like, if you counter on EQ, it's very sad. So you can actually play this Lemon against this Chansey set a fair amount of the time without being punished. It's funny. So Mako gets away with it, and now Snorlax comes in, and now Gengar comes in. And so now you're looking at Gengar threatening Hypnosis on things, and you're looking at this Chansey being the only thing that is in the way, because this Starmie does not want to sleep block a T-Bolt Gengar. And Mako doubles on this Chansey, and now Executor goes down. And so this is starting to be a game. It's not quite an even game, but it's a game. This Lax Sack, but Hayburner decides to not go for it. Again, counter on Ice Beam, or Ice Beam instead of counter on Body Slam. Unfortunately for Mako, no crits yet, but this Lax has a Gengar to deal with, and ooh, it's Reflect Amnesia. And now you see why the Hypnosis matters. Because Gengar loses to Reflect Amnesia otherwise, Lex just sets up, rests, and eventually it wins. But against Hypnosis, no it doesn't. Against Hypnosis, this Lex is dead. And so Hayburner, he has had this freeze to get ahead, but now due to this unconventional double sleeper Egg plus Guard team, and due to the circumstances, Mako has managed to climb this back to an effective 3v3 as Chansey Starmie Tauros against Chansey Tauros Gengar. And granted, one person's Tauros is full HP and one is in 46, which is not the best. But okay, yeah, the instant wave doesn't help either. But yeah, this is an open game now. And Hayburner goes Tauros on Tauros. I don't approve of this because why? Like, you're fine. If this Tauros comes in at full HP against Tauros, you can just even click EQ. Like, you're safe. Like, you can just sack Snorlax here. You can just throw out an Ice Beam on this turn, 114. Get this Tauros in range. Then you throw Lax and you go to your own Tauros, and now you're at full HP against like 10%. And so you just EQ, and nothing can switch in, you're fine. I think that was a clear as day misplay from Hayburner this turn. And if you watch the first game with Chuva messing around against Tauros and getting punished, this very much could have happened to Hayburner as well. It's just disrespectful to do this against an enemy Tauros when you have much safer plays. But alas, no punish. And now this Chansey, well, it will get PP stalled by Mako's Chansey, but Mako's Chansey lets Snorlax come in, and it lets Snorlax rest. And now this is a 4v4 again, because the Lax is back. And now it looks real bad. Because this Gengar is not making progress against Chansey. This Chansey should not be wasting PP, really. Hayburner should go to his Lax against Chansey, probably. Oh, that's a funny turn. That's a funny counter. Okay. Yeah. But the thing with this lax, okay, so Mako probably misplays in T-waving this, because Hypnosis is a way easier method to stop this lax than T-wave. After T-wave you cannot sleep this, and it takes no damage from T-bolt, and you need a crit. And this can kill you with a few ice beams. So this seemed highly unnecessary. Now obviously God has a crit rate, but like why would you expose yourself to this? I don't know. But Hayburner eventually has to cash out and rest and just accept an Hypnosis again. But yeah, that's damage on Gengar that didn't need to happen, and it happened because of T-Wave. So questionable, shaky. Now Mako even lets Snorlax set up all the way to +3, all the way to +4, sorry, times 3. Now obviously this Chansey is not in danger. It can force rest, but I mean, if Lax gets +6 and you have P1s, like you can die. You can die to this. It's not easy. So I'm not a huge fan, but eventually Mako lands another Hypnosis. And now finally she's in a position to win. But her Tauros gets crit. So very unfortunate Tauros from Mako. She didn't play this optimally, but she also probably still deserves to come out of this endgame with a win. Alas, that is not what the universe had planned for today. And Hayburner cleans up after killing the Tauros. Yeah, so I would say once Mako found his leap on Snorlax, she had all the odds to win it, I would think. Or at least enough odds to have a game. Because she won the P-Pistol of the chances, and yeah, nothing was really happy. Like she could make progress with Tauros in many occasions. And Hayburner, I think, really messed up when he went Tauros on Tauros. He could have exposed himself to a crit and lost a game that he had no business losing. So, not a clean game from him. Not a cleanest game from Mako either. They continue to be shaky players. But, I mean, it's complex situations. Like, this was an extremely weird situation where for a lot of turns neither player could make progress, and you saw this in the 170 turn length. This set, it should have worked, but this is it's just an insane double sleeper tech team, which is it's crazy that it worked, but it's actually really funny. Like, it makes sense that if your Lux is kept in the back all game, so will the opponent's Gengar. So it's odd. It's absolutely bizarre. I've never seen something like this, but it kind of makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. It was definitely not an optimal game, and I would say it says a lot that I shown this, and it was still unoptimal, because game 2 was even worse. Hayburner brought Tauros with no Earthquake, and Snorlax with only normal type moves, and he found a Gengar. And so it was a complete stomp, because Gengar just walled Tauros and Lax, and that's just extreme greed in the team builder from Hayburner. You should not be doing that. Deserved loss. And then in game 3, Hayburner just got horribly lucky. He got sleep, he got freeds on Chansey with a Jinx, and then Isalakazam killed Executor 1v1, dodging like 2 or 3 sleeps in the process. It was bad. Mako has gotten subbed out for week 6, which is fair because she has looked more and more unhappy with her performances, and I just think if you need a break, you should definitely go and take it. And Mako, by the looks of it, needs a break. Hayburner, on the other hand, he had a strong start, but he's starting to play like somebody who isn't fully focused, I would say. Like a lot of his errors are things that a player who is very focused can avoid. Like team builder error in game 2 is not, it's not hard to see that you just lose to Gengar and you have no reason to lose to Gengar that hard, and something things like that, like hard Tauros here is completely avoidable, I would say. It's not a big error, by the way. I keep bringing it up because it's the last one that I remember from his game. But it's the sort of thing that will cost you against better player, as you saw in the Chuva versus Troller game that I showed. Like, if you do that against Troller, you will get punished. It's not even against Troller, honestly. It's against anybody who is lucky enough. Like, at that point when you go Troller on Troller, it's not even... Troller and Troller, Tauros on Tauros. It's not even about... it's not even about whether your opponent plays well, it's just about whether they get lucky. And so you're not even putting yourself in a situation where you can play better. You're just saying, let's see what the gods have in store for me. And you don't need to do that a lot of the time. So I think that's the sign of a player who doesn't really care or believe in himself too much, to let things like that go to RNG instead of trying to avoid those sorts of paths. So yeah, I would say, well, we knew ahead of the week that this series was going to be unconvincing because the visible tilt was present for both players already, and unfortunately we got what we expected. I they're both extremely nice people. I hope they both can have better tournaments, or better rest of the tournament even. But at the moment they're not cutting it, unfortunately. Hopefully you can still learn something from this game. Hopefully you saw something fun. This Snorlax set, it should work by all accounts against Mako because she never uses Cloyster. But this time it didn't. So there was something fun in the builder, and there was maybe something instructive in the endgame. Instructive? Is that a word? It probably is. So yeah, that was the second series of the week. Third series of the week. I'm going to do something unprecedented because this series was unprecedented. I will just roll on with the games. No talking, nothing. Egg on Starmie gets crit. Starmie on Starmie. Starmie on Chansey. Ice Buff Fly. And this one freezes. Look. Uh-oh. We have a... I don't know. 6v4. Hypnosis misses. Hypnosis misses. Oh, Hypnosis lands. Wow. Serpi has free sleep. He doesn't even go for it. Now he goes for it. He misses. And now, friend of Mr. Okay, this is the one play that I want to talk about this whole series because it's the only thing that I think is clever that has happened in those 3 games. Friend of Mr. Golem predicts that Serpi will not sleep powder. He will preserve this Executor and go to either Chansey or Starmie. To avoid, losing tie and getting exploded. Because that would be one way for a friend of Mr. Golem to maybe get back in the game. Because yes, his Starmie is frozen, but if he denies Serpi sleep, he's fine. If he gets the boom tie, and this Executor either dies or is at low enough HP that it may as well be dead. If that happens, now Thumb is okay. He's in the game again. It becomes a 4v4 where Serpi has Starmie likes Tauros +1 and Thumb gets Gengar, Chansey, Snorlax, Tauros. It becomes a game. And so Thumb thinks, surely Serpi will not risk that. And he doubles Chansey on Starmie. And the problem with this is that Serpi is a maniac and he actually clicks Sleep Powder. And cannot argue with it when it lands. It's a phenomenal read. But man, you have to be either gutsy or careless to click this move, and I'm not sure which one it is. I'm going to call it gutsy because I think I have faith in Serpi's abilities, but I haven't asked. Maybe he just got lucky. So yeah. Anyways, after that, this game is over. It all just completely falls apart very quickly. 24 turn win. And well, I said I was going to do something unprecedented because I'm not going to show only this. I'm going to show game 2. I don't need to show anymore, so I will just skip turn. Oh wait, no, sorry, I did need to show this as well. Sorry, it's only fair that I also show this. Executor on Gengar. Fung volunteers his sleeper. This is just straight up giving up your sleeper. You don't need to do this. You can sack something else and then get sleep, but no, he sacks his sleeper. So this could be a 5v5 again, despite the Fritz turn 1. But it isn't, because friend of Mr. Golem gets lucky. It's a 6v4 now. And it's over. It is just over. Now, friend of Mr. Golem had a backup sleeper, so that makes sense why he would do that. Okay, fair enough. But still, it's just not a game. Turn 1 Fritz. It was never in discussion. It was a complete wash. And I'm going to show game 3 as well, because it turns out I entirely have time to show this. And there you go. Friend of Mr. Golem has frozen the first ice move he clicks in 3 of the last 5 games. And so when you see, yeah, oh, there was also a Groudon against Zapdos to pile on the Fritz. If that wasn't enough for you, yeah. So, and you see a friend of Mr. Golem is now 4-1. Take that with a grain of salt, because his series have not been series. He had a shaky win against Aliss. He had a lucky win against me. He had a very lucky win against Serpi. I mean, you saw all 3 games. I was able to show you all 3 games. It was just completely unwinnable leads from the first 5 turns, all 3 games. And so I got nothing to say. Friend of Mr. Golem, nice guy. He has not been playing impressive RBY. He's 4-1. The game sucks. The game sucks. The game sucks. Now, game 4. Me against Groudon. Groudon, emergency substitute for the Cryonicles. Because Exilime played too badly, and they have not gotten their mid-season bye yet at this point. They have now gotten their mid-season bye. In week 6 it will be Qualacans, who won the RBY circuit with luck, but still a victory. And it's one of the better up-and-comers. So happy for him. I hope he gets some good sets to show his skills. But for now, it's Groudon. And Groudon is new to RBY, and so I brought some teams that I thought would be newbie proof. So let's see what I do. I have Starmie, I have Chansey, I Seismic Toss, Soft. I have no reason to rush into a Tauros. I Seismic Toss again because I realized rest is like Tauros on rest is like the default play. He probably doesn't want to let me do that, so he's not going to rest. I'm just going to take a safe Seismic Toss and maybe FPs if he does rest. So this is just a safe play overall. Low risk. And now I land Sing. I don't land Sing. I click Sing on enemy Chansey. It would have been great if I landed it, but I don't land it. Now he goes Starmie to try to Sleep Sack it, and he does manage to Sleep Sack it, so that's good. Now I have Lax on Chansey. I go to Chansey because I don't want to. I don't know if this is counter. There's all sorts of wacky sets that you can run on Jake's teams. I don't want to really get into body slamming counter Chansey businesses. I use my own because I have Seismic Toss Sing counter. It's one of my favorite Chansey sets. It's super janky, almost never works, but I really love it against new players because it just gives you a second sleeper. So if you get your Executor fucked up by luck, you have Chansey to back up. And if you get your Chansey fucked up by luck, you have Executor to back up. And so it makes sure you never fall too far behind. And you make sure with counter that if you fall too far behind, you have a tool to rescue a full kill out of nowhere. And so I really think it's a great play. It's a great bring into new players who will probably try to ice fish you as their one win condition against you. I like this because it's fairly disaster proof. That's the word I would use. But yeah, now I have this weird Chansey that cannot take ice moves and cannot even paralyze enemy Chansey. So enemy Chansey is a bit of a problem. But yeah, I go to Executor to stun spore it because that's the only thing I have to paralyze it. But he goes Jinx on predicted boom, I guess. And on Jinx. Okay, I don't know what he clicked this turn. If it was rest, I had a free slam. Okay, he goes Lax on Lax. He goes Reflect. I slam again because I'm not sure what he's going to do. But I just get damage and then I go to my counter Chansey. Now my Chansey gets crit. So here I am in trouble, and now I have to demonstrate my approach of bringing this team as something that can climb down from a situation like this where I lose a mon for nothing. So let's see if my theory holds up. I've lost my Chansey for nothing. What can I do? Executor. Psychic. Now this is a roll. It's like 17-21. I don't really fancy risking a roll. And I don't want to get cheap on this egg because I think this egg is valuable. So just go Lax. And this crit is ugly again. If this didn't crit, like now I'm at like 1.5 Pokemon lost to pretty stupid things. But it's still fine. I cash in on the Jinx, and I have technically a 4v4, although one of my Pokemon is at 29%, so it's not a real 4v4. And there's a Zapdos on the enemy team, and I don't have a Groudon, so this is a dangerous moment. But I have a Zam, and this is why I brought back Zam against players. Because players who are new to RBY, they sometimes don't understand paralysis. Like, I don't care that you are already faster. I'm going to T-Wave you, and you need to respect it and T-Wave me first. You need to T-Wave me first. It's just free. It's just always good. It's always good if I stay to T-Wave me, because you give yourself odds to make me FP, to crit me. It's just, everything gets so much better in the 1v1 for you if I'm paralyzed. Like, if you just start drill packing and I'm paralyzed and if you start drill packing and you're paralyzed and I'm not paralyzed, I'm fine. I'm completely fine. Because your crits, they don't one-shot me, so I can just recover forever. And mathematically, you will FP first. Your FP rate is higher than your crit rate. And so you're just losing this by drill packing immediately. You have to T-Wave. And that's something that is obvious to anybody with experience. But it's something that new players get wrong for some reason. And so I just have my Zam, which is definitely not a Zapdos check. People who say that this is a neutral matchup, they have it all wrong. A good Zapdos will maul you. But this is not a good Zapdos. This is an extremely premature Zapdos that would completely ruin my life. And it's just volunteer to take T-Wave and risk everything against that Zam when you have completely the safe option of like going Chansey and T-Waving me, or going Chansey and forcing rest and going Lax, or anything you want. So not only should this Zapdos probably not stay in, it should also not click Drill Pack. And this is what I was banking on when I brought this team, and I know I'm weak to Zapdos, but in a Zapdos endgame, I'm confident my opponent will make mistakes that I want to. And so this is what happens. And now I have a free attack, and I'm Psychic, because, I get a drop, I win. I get a drop, it's basically over. Like, the speed drop from Para gets reapplied is just tragic. I outspeed again, he dies to another Psychic, I win. and I mean I get crit drop para, which is obviously the best case scenario possible, like literally the best case scenario. But at the same time, like, bro, you seen how much chance he went? You seen how my lax is at 29? Like, this is not unreasonable luck to get back on average. Like, this is fairly equal luck. Especially given that he didn't give himself ideal odds. He drill packed, which is just not right. Like, if you T-wave me, I can FP on turn 26 and I can FP on turn 27. And neither of those things happened because I wasn't paralyzed. Like, my odds become so much better immediately. And yeah, that's why I brought this team. And now he finally realizes he has a chancey. But now I'm like, okay, your Zapdos is out of commission. My Zam is not great into Lax, it's not great into Tauros. So I can T-wave this. I don't mind if it gets paralyzed now. Okay, now I get my Lax and I explode it for value, because I just wanted to cash in on something. And now I have an egg. My egg threatens explosion on Chansey into favorable Zam endgame. It threatens Psychic on Lax or Zapdos, and now my Tauros gets in on the Misak. So I cash in. And now it's a Tauros war. I got a crit. Okay, fine. It's a bit fortunate. But this Zam was a demon. Like, Zam beats Boltbeam Chansey, and there are no switch-ins anymore. So the moment he goes Chansey, I got Zam and I just click Psychic until I get a kill. Something dies. Something dies. Either Chansey to drops or something is switching in. Like, maybe he can T-wave me and then go Lax on Psychic. And maybe that's strong. But I have crit odds, and I always have this egg to go to. So, like, Psychic Barrage is going to end this game soon. And so, yes, I got lucky, but yeah, once I get this crit, it allows me to Hyper Beam safely, because even if he goes Lax, I'm not losing this game now. Yeah, I'm just not losing this game. I just go Zam and I can even go Executor. Yeah, okay, I go Executor first. Because look at this. My Executor, if it explodes Chansey, Zam clicks Psychic and wins. And if it explodes Tauros, I have to play, like, he has to try and freeze me, essentially, which not likely at all. So explosion is always safe, and going Executor first, it gives me chances to Psychic, because he might try to catch explosion with Tauros to try and freeze me, because it's his last realistic win chance. But it's mind games every turn, and every turn until my Executor is forced to boom, I can win a mind game. And it turns out I win it immediately. He immediately goes Tauros to try to catch boom, and I get it, and I explode, and the game is over. And so, well, it was not a clean game. There was a Lax crit and then a Jinx crit on my Lax. They forced me into a tricky situation, but ultimately, I think this is a perfect demonstration of when one player is optimal with playing the odds lottery, when one player clicks T-Wave when it has to, when he has to, and the other player doesn't click T-Wave when he should, the player who clicks T-Wave more often than not will win. And that's, you know, that's just the tier. You play, this tier is, everything in this tier is about optimizing your chances, and Groudon is new to the tier, didn't do that flawlessly, and that's the big lesson for new players. Like, at a very basic level, this is what you need to get right. You cannot get those plays wrong. You're just making yourself worse. Like, there was no mind game there. It was not a question of anything deep. You just fundamental misunderstanding of a 1v1 mechanic, and you just cannot do that at a high level. Like, even with a good matchup, this was a great matchup for Zapdos. You end up losing if you don't understand just how to play 1v1s. And so obviously Groudon, you know, should not be blamed for this at all. He's been put into an awkward situation, absolutely. But yeah, not great. And this was game 1. In game 2, he brought a Reflect Boltbeam Chansey, and let me tell you, there is a reason almost nobody ever brings Reflect Boltbeam Chansey. The theory behind it is that it's very hard to get it to switch out, and it can ice fish. But in that's theory. In practice, I had a luck exam. I brought the same 6 because I just thought, you know, I got the bad matchup in game 1. There's no way he brings the same thing in game 2. I'm going to get another neutral at worst matchup in game 2. And I do. I get a great matchup because he has that stupid chances as an ever like exam, and so anytime it tries to do anything, I can just go drop him 25 times and his team loses. And it's a Chansey with no T-wave, so like I could even go Tauros on it at 25 times because it's safe. What you gonna do to me? Like, if you don't para, then maybe you can Ice Beam me for damage, but like Tauros can fucking create you out of oblivion. Yeah, I don't know. It was just a bad team from him, but it didn't work at all. And yeah, I had good matchup, everything. Game 2, not a lot to show. Game 1, a bit interesting because he got the luck first, but then I got some luck back, and it was enough for a clean win. Yeah, that's my series. I'm happy to finally win again. It's still not great that I am, 2-3, because anybody who has seen all my games will agree I should be 4-1. 4-1 is a great record. 2-3 is literally below even. But it's a win. 2-3 was better than 1-3, so yeah, we take it. So sucks to be me, I guess, but I win, so yeah, maybe it doesn't suck so much. I don't know. Not a series that I have a lot to say on, honestly. I've said all that I needed to say. Alright, Aliss versus Nails, last game of the week. Game 1, Nails brought some weird Slowbro team, it did not work. Aliss brought Gengar Executor Cloyster, the boom spam that a lot of people seem to like against Nails, and it worked again. And so Aliss is up 1-0, and now game 2. Nails, me mirror. Nails evidently perhaps has scouted this table thing, because if you get Blizzard, this is awful, but it works out for him. Or, I mean, maybe it was a turn 1 Chansey predict that went wrong, but then went right again, because Starmie didn't happen to have Blizzard. I don't know. Either way. There's a paralyzed Executor, but Nails has the sleep lead, and Nails can start to T-wave everything. I don't know what he's doing, surfing into a Chansey. I guess he's trying to force a soft turn. Yeah. I mean, switching out Starmie at 64 seems weird. But yeah, now Nails has a Q-Lax. So that's a change. That's unusual. He almost never runs it. But Aliss shows that she came prepared with double sleepers, and her T-Wave on Executor was not rushed. It was entirely justified because she would be able to explode the egg and then go with the other sleeper. And she does do that. And now it's a 4v4. But Nails has everything unparalyzed, everything healthy, and Aliss has Chansey and Executor paralyzed. But paralyzed Chansey in some ways is nice because it stops the ice spam. In some ways it's not nice because you're pressured by X. Classic RBY dynamics right here. This is some good fucking RBY. Let's see. Reflect, body slams. Oh, this is counter. Wow, fancy. It doesn't really achieve a lot because Chansey has to be sacked immediately, but it kills us Snorlax. It forces out a trade that perhaps Aliss didn't want. And now enemy Lax is dangerous because, as I said earlier, everything paralyzed. And so, yeah, Lax manages to trade for Tauros. And now this is very bad because Tauros is angry, and not only that, there's a 6th Pokemon in Nails' team. Tauros dies to a crit, but the 6th Pokemon is Zapdos. And so this is ugly. This is very ugly. This agility is completely unnecessary. I find it very funny. It just does nothing. Everything is already paralyzed, like completely no reason to agility. But okay. Yeah, Zapdos is angry. And finally, at last, somebody gets punished for bringing a team that is weak to Zapdos against Nails. And look, this was a simple game. This was extremely simple. This was the most classic of RBY games. Sleep traded, one explosion, 4v4 endgame, go. But I show this because Nils has finally brought a team that wins these situations instead of bringing a team that loses them. And if Nils does this more often, that's the Nils that you pay 15.5k for. If Nils is 1-3 because he fell into patterns that were entirely too predictable, and you start seeing people run this shit every time against him, because it's like, his electrics are mostly jolty, and what is he going to do? Fucking nothing. He is walled by Executor. Idiot. Like, it's insane how much Nils sabotages himself with his team choices, and this game shows, finally, Nails that doesn't self-sabotage wins games. Yes, this is what you want to see. I'm always happy when Nails plays well. I'm always happy when anybody plays well. I want to see people play good RBY, and I'm happy that he has finally shifted his team selections a little bit and gotten a free win for it. I'm hoping to see more of this. Like, come on. Like, I'm tired of seeing one of the best players of the pool lose because he brings stupid teams. Yes, I like this. More of this. Nils, in game 3, he went back to his usual tendencies. He brought fucking Starmie Cloistered Zam again, which he brings fucking every week, which I hate. And he almost lost because that team kind of sucks. Has no offensive pressure on lots of things because, you know, Cloyd Zam, they're all walled by the same things. So if his Chloe got locked and all of a sudden he had no explosion and all of a sudden he was in a very tricky endgame which he almost lost. So, you know, it's not completely, we're not all the way there. He still has his habits, he still has his little cloister addictions and weird things like that, but he has at least seemed to learn something, maybe, hopefully, by this game too. It worked for him. He needs more of this kind of offense because his usual passive style is far too exploitable, and it's been exploited multiple times this SPL. But at last, he does not go 1-4, he goes 2-3, and he joins a pack of people at 2-3. There's like 5 people at 2-3. It's kind of funny. I'm one of them. I wish I weren't, but I am. So yeah, that's the end of this week. We see Nails finally playing a good team. We see me finally not getting brutalized by luck. We see whatever the fuck Fumg against Serpi was. And then, you know, the chuva against Troller was a 4-0 against 3-1 matchup. That was pretty good as well. A lot of interesting stuff. A lot of bad games, honestly. Like, Fumg against Serpi was just... I have never been so disappointed by a bo3 of RBY before in my life. But, you know, that's the game sometimes. So, that was week 5. I hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you so much for sticking to the end. Or for just watching Aliss against Nails if you skipped to this game. I don't know which one it was. But either way, thank you.